Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon for access to new videos 12 to 24 hours early, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. So I thought that we would go ahead and continue with Tom BILYEU's little video, which is the ultimate advice for every young person. So all young people, the ultimate advice. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, you should check it out. But it's not necessarily something that you have to watch before you watch part 2. You can watch part 2 first if you want to. So we're going to be rejoining him at where he was like, he had just described his 25 books that you have to read in order if you're going to be successful. So I haven't read any of the books he wants us to read, so I guess I never will be successful. But that's where we're going to be rejoining him, and he just talked about the skill gap. So he's going to be talking about the skills that we have to gain, and yeah, let's go. Oh, I thought I would add in here. I commented this on the last video and I pinned it, but I'll just go ahead and say it here. So I took one for the team and I turned on incognito mode and I typed in Tom BILYEU shirtless into Google. And you know, I gotta say, for someone who brags about having a six-pack constantly, you know, and constantly brags about it and supposedly has one, that was a surprisingly fruitless search, you know, just like a diet of Quest bars, fruitless, okay? And fruit's a lot better than a dumb Quest bar. Oh, also, I wanted to go ahead and state here that Quest bars, they always say that they have less than 1 gram of sugar, which they do. They contain a type of sugar called psychose, which I just love that word. And while it is like much lower in calories than regular sugar is, and it's metabolized differently, which means that the FDA allows it to be excluded from the total and added sugar lines of the nutrition facts label, which kind of bothers me. So that's why they're allowed to say that. And it certainly looks like a promising substitute for sugar. But I mean, the thing is, like, first of all, there's been so many seemingly promising substitutes, and usually it's kind of like usually you eliminate one problem and then you kind of create another. And the other thing is, by having this sugar substitute, I feel like you're still going to be calibrating your palate to be preferring too much sugar. So unless you're planning on only eating Quest bars, you're probably going to end up eating like more regular sugar because you're going to start craving it more because it's addictive. All right, so let's check back in on our boy and his little story that he needs to tell himself to feel important. Okay. Oh, imagine tying yourself in this type of knots just to feel like you matter. Oh, the fragility.
Realize what you believe is a choice. This is something that's really hard for people because they think some things are objectively true and other things are not. And that's simply a lie. And that's why the Matrix is the perfect metaphor. Think about this for a second. Your brain is locked in total darkness. It never sees light. Your brain is locked in total silence. It never hears sounds. What your brain does is take stimulus, the agitation of the air, and it transmits it into chemical, electrical signals. It does the same with photons falling on your eye. But ultimately, this thing that you're experiencing, the distance that you feel from me, it's all happening in your mind. There's actually 2 dime-sized blank spots in your field of vision where the optic nerve connects to the eye, and yet you don't experience it. It's right in the center. So why don't you experience it? Because your brain is insanely good at guessing what should be there and filling it in. That's when I realized my brain is lying to me. Now, it may have all the best intentions in the world, but make no mistake, your brain is making shit up. And it's making up a lot of shit. And so you've got to choose what to believe. Who here has a negative voice in their head that tells...
Okay, I mean, but it's not really just making shit up. It's making an educated guess based on whatever is around that blind spot. And the other thing is that because you have two eyes, I mean, if you do have two functioning eyes, your brain's going to use the information from the other eye to fill that in, as long as you have both of your eyes open and both of your eyes work. I mean, it will fill it in still if you only have one eye open. It'll still fill that in, but you can't really, you won't have a blind spot with both of your eyes open. So it's not really just making shit up. Like, that's not the same as like hallucinating or something. I mean, it sort of is, I guess, but good Lord, man. Like, and here's like, it's just such a, I don't think this is a useful way to conceptualize this, because it's like, well, I mean, yeah, but like, it's not like my brain is gonna, like, as an alternative to what? Like, as an alternative to my brain having little tiny sub ears on it, as opposed to the ears outside my head. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, sure, but like an ear and an eye by themselves don't do anything, like, because it's not a full creature without a brain. Like, it's just such a stupid way of putting it. Like, why are you tying your, what is with these mental gymnastics you have to do to get to really mundane points, man? Like, I don't understand. It's just bonkers.
Tells them to be careful, be safe, you probably can't do it, this is all going to go wrong. Now, do you believe that voice to be objectively true? Okay, so that voice is lying to you as well. Now, it has great intentions. It's trying to make sure you don't get eaten by a lion in the bush. That doesn't happen a lot in modern society. So maybe a little less useful in today's day and age. And then the really protective one is trying to make sure you don't get ostracized by the group, which in years past would have meant certain death. But now, you don't need the group. You can survive just fine. There's a grocery store around every corner. You can get...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you build the grocery store yourself? Who do you think puts the food in the grocery store, idiot? It's the group. I guarantee you, if we threw you out into like the middle of the ocean without anything, any supplies, on a boat by yourself, no one in contact, I guarantee you, you would die rather quickly. Or if we cast you out into the Mojave or the Great Salt Lake or Great Basin Desert with no one else around and no supplies, you would die really fast. Okay, just because the group is more formalized now, as in like, you know, a community or a society with a government and stuff, that doesn't mean that you don't still need us. You do, because, and this is what these rich people always never understand. They don't understand the benefits they're reaping from the community they're a part of. Like, they don't want to pay taxes, but it's like, okay, but like, you've benefited massively from, like, you know, infrastructure, from police forces, yeah, certainly more so than anyone else benefits from that. But yeah, like, dude, who do you think grows your food and puts it in the grocery store? It's the group. It is your fellow beings are providing you that food in there. It's not you by yourself. Okay, a human with a scrawny human body all by their lonesome without any supplies or anything that other people's hands have created is soon to be a dead human. Okay, and that's true today. That was true back then. It's always been true. It's just maybe you don't understand what the group looks like. Like, what a dumb point to make. There's a grocery store right there. Yeah, People run the grocery store.
Shelter of some kind. It may be lonely as hell, but the chances of you dying from being ostracized are virtually zero. So you've got out.
That's only because we typically don't ostracize you fully out of society. That's not because you can survive being ostracized completely. If we still did that shit, you would die right away.
Outdated software, outdated algorithms running in your mind. Your job is to develop what I call an Overwatch mechanism. The Overwatch is the emotionally sober part of you that distrusts every signal and impulse that your brain gives you. And once you can get over that, in fact, there's a great quote from Da Vinci, the greatest form of control is control over oneself. So the reason I love Star Wars is because it's all about mind control. But not mind control over other people, don't worry about that. Mind control over yourself. Being able to tell yourself these are not the droids you're looking for.
Doesn't the mind control only happen like a few times in Star Wars? It's not really all about mind control.
That's when this gets really powerful. All right, so belief is a choice. We're going to talk about that more. Be an eternal student. We've talked about that. And last one, become anti-fragile. All right, we're going to go really deep on anti-fragile, so I won't belabor the point, and develop grit. All right, how do you become anti-fragile? This is probably one of the most important things you guys need to learn. Becoming anti-fragile was literally the thing that changed my life. And
I thought it was when those guys offered you that job. Okay, so it was becoming anti-fragile because I thought it was the books that you read, and then I thought it was the job opportunity that you got. So maybe keep your story straight here. Besides, it doesn't seem like you're anti-fragile. It seems like you're very fragile. That's why you're currently giving this talk and building yourself up like you're some kind of, incredible business leader with amazing ideas, when really like you're a guy that mismarkets candy bars that are just glorified dirt in a wrapper, and then tells people like how incredible you are, like, oh my god, when like really you're just a loser.
Remember the day that it happened. I had just started working for my two partners. They were very smart, clearly much smarter than I. And I had built my self-esteem around being smart and being right. And now all of a sudden I found myself with these two incredible minds that could process data more rapidly than I can. So I'm not going to place a value judgment. I'm not going to get into an argument about how valuable IQ is. I will just say that a high IQ, in my opinion, means that you're processing raw data faster than somebody else.
That's not what it means. Like, here's what an IQ test tells you. It tells you how good you are at taking IQ tests.
You can run through the list of possible scenarios, for instance, that could be very helpful going into any negotiation. You've just thought through all the possible permutations. So then,
yeah, that's not actually a productive way to think most of the time as a human. That's a good way for a computer to think. That's how most computers, quote unquote, think. That's called an algorithm, where you go through all the permutations until you find the right one. But I would suggest that thinking that way is going to really slow you down, because that's not really the fastest method when you take into account like human factors. Like, it's not going to be very quick. It's going to be really slow when you're trying to do that with the old brain. We tend to use heuristics, which is where we use like a shortcut, and then you kind of check your answer that you get from that, because it could be wrong, but you're probably on the right track like 99% of the time. Just be careful.
It made me feel badly about myself. So as you can imagine, I didn't always want to be around them, and the times that I was around them, I wanted to find some way to be right. And so we were arguing about something, a way to do something in the business.
Well, this just sounds like a problem with your attitude, sir. Like you're just projecting this onto us.
And I had an idea, and then they threw out another idea.
Well, how dare they? This is what you're saying was a life-changing experience? Dude, like, this is barely even an experience. Like, I wouldn't even remember this occurring. What the fuck? The amount of like profound, like the profundity you think that there is in your life is just, it is incomprehensible to me. It is utterly incomprehensible to me.
I recognized immediately that their idea was better, and yet I kept arguing for mine.
Okay, that just sounds like you're an asshole then. You're like a contrarian asshole. And I would be willing to bet that still in other parts of your life, such as the way that you are behaving right now, you probably still are that way. You probably know when people are right, but you still argue against them because you're a contrarian asshole. And you are just unable to recognize your own flaws when they're presented to you, unless you get to present it as if like, oh, well, I discovered my own flaws. You won't ever let other people actually make observations about them to you. Can't ever be wrong, can ya? Still can't, can ya?
Ever come across somebody who does that? I promise what's happening in that moment is they're feeling insecure. You've triggered their insecurities. And now they're going to fight for it because it's theirs. Because if
Don't project.
they can at least win that argument, while they may not feel smart, they may get reflected back to them that they were smarter than you in that moment. They could convince you of something. So
Yeah, see, usually I can tell when someone's making a bad faith argument, meaning like they're arguing for something that they don't even agree with. And yeah, that's when I just don't participate with that. I'm just like, no, you can go at this argument somewhere else.
had this moment of crisis because I actually convinced them. And I convinced them that my way was right, even though there was a voice in my head screaming, "It's wrong, dumbass. You know it's wrong. What are you doing?" It was insane. I was literally heading in this collision and I couldn't stop myself.
Well, it's a good thing that this incredible opportunity and position was given to you and not someone more qualified with a better attitude. You know, but I'm sure it's because you worked your ass off and that you actually were more qualified, and certainly not just that you had privilege in being in the right place at the right time. I'm sure it's not that. I'm sure it's because you're more qualified. It's just there's no one who would be more qualified than what he just described.
So at the end of it, I asked myself, what do I really want? Because I tell people I want to get rich, but my actions say I want to feel good about myself.
Aren't Quest bars like $3 each? It kind of seems like you want to get rich.
And I had a moment of crisis because I realized I need to feel good about myself.
You had a crisis from that stupid meeting? Nothing even happened, dude. Like,
Everybody needs self-esteem. In fact, what suicide is when somebody no longer believes they'll ever feel good about themselves ever again.
well, that's certainly is a dramatic oversimplification of it, and certainly does not apply to. You should just stop talking about mental health issues, dude. Like, just stop it. Because you think that you know everything about it, and you clearly don't.
And if that were true, it's not, but if that were true, suicide's actually a reasonable option.
Not really, because, you know, it's possible that maybe someone has kids and maybe someone, you know, has people who are counting on them in their life. And so I know that you're very self-centered, but just because you're not feeling good doesn't mean that people aren't counting on you. And I know that's just a hypothetical, but I'm just saying that's how self-centered you are.
Why would you want to go on living if every day you're miserable?
Because people might be counting on you.
And there really is no way out of that. So I knew I couldn't give up my self-esteem. I couldn't accept some weird role where I just was always the dumbass sitting in the corner.
Well, I'm sure one day you'll grow out of it. I'm sure you will eventually.
Right? So in that moment, I realized if I'm actually going to move towards my goals, I've got to pick something to build my self-esteem around that's anti-fragile. Now, this is a term that comes from Nassim Taleb in his book by the same name. And in the book, he points out something that is resilient, something that is strong, something that endures. They are all defined ultimately by their breaking point. They still break. They can just take a lot more abuse before they break. Anti-fragile, on the other hand, is something that the more you attack it, the stronger it becomes. So think of it this way. If I pride myself on being smart and you tell me I'm dumb and you put up a pretty good case for it, that's going to damage my self-esteem. My self-esteem,
You're dumb.
in that situation is very fragile. If, on the other hand, you tell me that I'm dumb and I build my self-esteem around being the learner, now I'm going to say, thank you. Please tell me in what way that I'm dumb, because you will open my eyes to something that now I can address.
Okay. I'm going to say that you are dumb in the area of emotional intelligence, because if you were emotionally intelligent, you would understand that when I say you're dumb and you say thank you, it sounds insincere. And so I would say that that's a very emotionally unintelligent way to respond.
And I can go learn about that thing, and I will have a new skill, and I can go out and push and execute against that skill. That's anti-fragile. The more you try to tell me I'm dumb, the more areas that you point out that I'm weak, the more things you tell me I need to learn about, my eyes are open to something that, if true, I'm going to go down that path and I'm going to learn how to do that.
I feel like that if true was a big caveat there, because why do I feel like you could tell him he's dumb all day and 0% of the time would he go learn anything from that?
And that is absolutely critical. All right. Identifying as smart is a deadly trap, as is the notion of being right. One of the most powerful things that you could do is become the person that admits that you're wrong really fast. And it's crazy how much credibility you will earn with people simply by admitting I was wrong. Like 30 seconds ago, I was fighting so hard for something. I was really fighting for my position, and then somebody says something and I realize that's actually better. Imagine that. You're in the meeting, you're going die hard because you believe it. You should stand up for what you believe and you should fight for it. But when you find somebody that when they actually, because they actually listen and they hear, holy shit, like that's actually a better idea. And they say it in real time. And not just say it, but like, oh my God, that's a great idea. I'm totally amped, I'm on that. Now I'm going to be the energy for that idea.
So Tom, you heard how the audience laughed when you said that. That's because it's really, really weird to be fighting super passionately for something and then immediately be like, oh, that's a better idea. Because like clearly you have a lot of reasons why you thought that your idea was a good one, right? So it's weird for you to suddenly give up on that and switch to another idea that you clearly haven't even considered yet. Like it would be one thing to be like, can you explain to me your point a little bit better? Because I don't see how your way is better or something like that. But to just be like, oh, you're right, that's better. It's like, well, maybe, why don't you stop to think about my idea before you agree with it? Okay. Because I, like you, am also capable of being wrong. So maybe don't just accept it right away, because there might be aspects of it that I haven't thought about yet. And that's why I'm sitting here speaking my idea to you, because I want to get your perspective on it and not just you agreeing with me.
It was crazy. When I started doing that, people would actually come to me with their great ideas because they knew if it was right, I would get so enthusiastic about it. I would give them all the credit because I did not pride myself on owning the idea. I prided myself on recognizing the idea.
Wait, you want a gold star for giving people credit for their ideas?
And so people would keep coming to me with these great ideas because they wanted me to be the energy. And so even though all I would do is try and point out whose idea it really was, in like every breath that I mentioned the idea, talking about the person who actually came up with it, I would get credit for it because I was the one actually moving it forward.
You're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole stealing people's ideas and taking credit for it. I'm sorry. Nobody gives you credit for an idea like accidentally. Okay. If someone, no, fuck you. You could have credited the people that came up with the idea better. If people are still crediting you inappropriately for an idea that you didn't come up with, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for being sitting there holding the bag on credit. Like, I don't care. Then take your name off of it. I don't care what the circumstances were. If it's not your idea, then don't take credit for it. You don't have to. Nobody forces you to. That's a load of bullshit. That sounds like you steal credit from people all the time, I bet. All the time. And that's the excuse you use. That's a lame excuse, just like you. You're fucking lame. Sorry, that just pissed me off because I've heard that exact argument before from people when they're making excuses for themselves about why, like, well, they weren't trying to take credit. They tried to credit them. They tried to credit them and like it just didn't stick. They just wanted to credit me. Bullshit.
Because at the end of the day, only execution matters. You can build an amazing reputation.
Well, what idea would you have executed if they didn't come up with it for you, idiot? You're a thief.
For yourself. And one of the best ways that this plays out is that time when you hold steadfast and you refuse to bend. People know you're not doing it just to argue for your own idea, because you've shown 1,000 times, as soon as somebody gives you a compelling idea that you think is better, you'll move on it. And that there's no ego in it.
I would just find that very disconcerting and flighty.
What is up, my friends? I have huge news for you.
Dude, you've got to get some transitions for these promos.
About one of the most exciting and important projects I've ever worked on in my life. As you guys know, it is my mission to help teach people about how to build a mindset and the skills that they're going to need to live an extraordinary life. And over the last few months, I've been working hard behind the scenes to create a brand new tool that will help you do exactly that. It's called Project Kaizen, and I'm proud to announce that I'll be bringing
Kaizen sounds like a Utah first name.
It to the world later this year. Project Kaizen is a Web3-based, game-like experience that is a story-based world that's going to allow you to get inside, build an avatar that is aspirational of who you want to become, and then take the path of the warrior, seeking continuous improvement inside of a story world and game experience. All right, my friend, I cannot tell you how excited I am about this amazing new project, which I think ushers in a whole new form of entertainment. And I want to meet you inside of Project Kaizen and help you have fun with these ideas of always getting better. All right, click the link and join me in Discord. And until then, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace.
It's Web3, you guys. Oh my God, please tell me it has NFTs. And like, did you catch that that techno furry that was looking at us? That was weird. Oh my God, man, you gotta warn me before you... Please tell me it has NFTs. Please tell me it has NFTs. I need it to have NFTs.
All right, how do you develop grit? If grit is as important as we say it is, sustained interest over time, that's really what grit is. And a lot of people talk about, in fact, the title of my speech is supposed to be about how you develop a passion, which we will talk about in a little bit, but this is going to be one of those things. When you have passion, one of the things that comes out of that is you've got the ability to sustain your interest over time. Do the hard things. Do the hard things. I can't emphasize that one enough. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations just to find the mental tactics that you're going to need to deal with the hard things. It's getting those tactics. Who knows the Stanford marshmallow test? All right. For those of you that don't, this is one of the most breathtaking examples of the human condition. In the Stanford marshmallow test, they bring in, I don't know, they're 5 or 6 years old. They bring them in, and the person in the white lab coat says, here's a marshmallow. I'm gonna go out of the room for a minute. I'll be back in just a few minutes. If you wait till I come back, I'll give you a second marshmallow. So essentially double your money. Not bad. Now, what the kid doesn't know is the researcher's never coming back. And all they want to know is how long will you wait before you eat the marshmallow? Some kids have literally gobbled it up before they even get to the door. Other kids are like singing to themselves, putting their head down, getting up, dancing around the room. Some of them bite like the underside and try to put it back so you can't see. And here's what's scary. They followed those kids for 25 years. And based solely on the length of time they were able to wait before they ate the marshmallow, predicted their level of success in school, predicted their level of success in the job market. The people who waited the longest got into the best schools, got the best grades, went on to have the highest paying jobs. Just your ability to delay gratification, your ability to find tactics that work to get your mind off something.
Yeah, so there's several problems with the marshmallow study. Number one, the way he explained it was not right. The first iteration of it, I believe, was just a binary. Did they eat it before the time? It was a fixed amount of time, like it was like 5 minutes or whatever that they had to wait to get the second marshmallow. It wasn't like they eventually came back and gave them the second marshmallow. It was a fixed amount of time, if I'm remembering correctly. It's not super important, but hearing him tell it that way was weird. So with the initial marshmallow study, it's been like all of the interpretations of it have pretty much been debunked, because while it's true that the kids that waited for the marshmallow to get the second marshmallow and didn't eat it right away, got into better schools, et cetera, et cetera. What am I going to say? There's a confounding variable. Because it also turns out that the kids that waited came from more affluent families than the kids that didn't wait, which makes a lot of sense. Number one, because if you're from a more affluent family, well, you're almost always going to get into better schools. You're going to have parents that can, send you to a better school system. The school you attend in your high school and middle school and elementary school is probably going to be better than a kids from a less affluent families. Your parents are going to be able to pay for college. They're going to be able to, get you all the college prep courses or whatever that you need. You'll be able to take the test as many times as you need. You could get a tutor, all that shit. And that's just like the minimum that an affluent family can do for you. In addition to not having the stressors that a less affluent upbringing could put upon you, that would make it more difficult to get ahead academically. If the circumstances are even encouraging that for you, if they're even able to. And it's pretty logical why the kids from a less affluent background would be, you can think of a lot of reasons why they might not wait to eat the marshmallow, because it could be that, they've been told probably hundreds of times in their very so far short life, in their 5 years of living so far, they've probably been told hundreds of times that if they wait, they'll get a second marshmallow, or like the equivalent of that. And probably most of the time, that marshmallow probably never came, and probably the marshmallow that was sitting there got taken away from them. So they're going to eat the marshmallow that's there right now, because they don't believe you that another one's coming. All they know is there's one right there, and they better eat it before someone takes it from them, because that's been their entire life experience up to that point. So, just to clarify that it's not some deficiency. Really, it's the child acting completely rationally based on their life experience. Yeah, a kid from an affluent family, they probably have every reason to believe an adult that tells them there's another marshmallow coming and that no one's going to take that one away from them. They would have no reason to disbelieve that. But, you know, that's not the case for a less affluent child. And then furthermore, they've tried to replicate it with a much larger sample size. And at that point, even the correlation between the time waited for the marshmallow and the economic and job outcomes and everything, they couldn't replicate it. So it seems like even that is not really as strong of a correlation as it seemed, which I mean, I know it's so shocking that a child waiting or not waiting to eat a marshmallow doesn't predict their entire life. But, you know, it turns out it doesn't. I know, I was shocked too. Like, Jesus Christ, it's such a dumb experiment when you really step back. It's like, wait, like, what are we doing? Yeah. You really, with these really old classic psychology studies, you you are very well served being very, very, very skeptical of them.
There's no greater control than control over oneself. Anybody here ever done a 3-day water-only fast? Not intermittent fasting. 3 days. Do it. You will learn something about yourself, and it will be profound. And what you're going to learn is that your body is manipulative. And I did a 3-day fast just a couple weeks ago. And I had the flu right before, so there were cough drops laying around. And every time I walked by those fucking cough drops, my brain was like, eat one. And I was like, motherfucker, like, you know I'm fasting. And I literally couldn't believe, like, how consistently, every time I walked by those damn cough drops, that my body, like, gave me this really intense impulse. And that's,
yeah, it's because of 100,000 years of this behavior leading to death.
That's when I realized, like, the notion that there are multiple voices in your head, by the way, is very, very real. And I will give you one quick example. Who knows what the corpus callosum is? All right, the corpus callosum is a thick bit of tissue that connects the left and right hemisphere of your brain. If you sever that, you will get people that have literal multiple personalities, one in the right, one in the left. Some of the most intriguing stuff is one of them will be devoutly religious and the other will be devoutly atheist in the same brain. And you can talk to them differently. It's absolutely crazy. But the multiple voices notion is real. There are multiple facts.
I'm pretty sure he's incorrect about that split personality thing seen with the corpus callosotomy, which is usually done for really severe intractable cases of epilepsy. Well, it's not usually done. It's extremely rarely done. But there are, however, some studies that have been done on patients who have so generously volunteered to participate in these research studies, which has really allowed like some very, very like interesting, if a little bit chilling, discoveries about how the brain works to be kind of elucidated. So like I have to share them, okay? And they're way more interesting than some kind of like Hollywood movie split brain garbage. Like that's it's not a split personality, okay? So for each eye, you have a left visual field and a right visual field. Like you have left, right on your left eye and left, right on your right eye. And the right half of each eye is processed by the left brain and the left half of each eye is processed by the right brain. I know it would be a lot simpler if it were per eye, but it's not. It's the left half of each eye of each visual field and the right half of each visual field. So that's the way that it is. And so you got to hear some of these. It's really crazy. it kind of has interesting sort of implications on free will. So when split brain patients are shown an image only in the left half of each eye's visual field, they cannot vocally name what they have seen. This is because the image seen in the left visual field is sent only to the right side of the brain. And most people's speech control center is on the left side of the brain. Communication between the two sides is inhibited, so the patient cannot say out loud the name of that which the right side of the brain is seeing. A similar effect occurs if a split brain patient touches an object with only the left hand while receiving no visual cues from the right visual field. The patient will be unable to name the object, as the cerebral hemisphere of the primary somatosensory cortex only contains a tactile representation of the opposite side of the body. If the speech control center is on the right side of the brain, the same effect can be achieved by presenting the image or object to only the right visual field or hand. The same effect occurs for visual pairs and reasoning. For example, a patient with split brain is shown a picture of a chicken foot and a snowy field in separate visual fields and asked to choose from a list of words the best association with the pictures. The patient would choose a chicken to associate with the chicken foot and a shovel to associate with the snow. However, when asked to reason why the patient chose the shovel, the response would relate to the chicken because that's the side that had the speech control and saw it. And so they might say like, the shovel is for cleaning out the chicken coop. That's wild. They don't know why they chose the shovel. The shovel went with the snow, but they can't express that. And so the brain just makes up another logical explanation. That's batshit. Like that is, oh my God, that gives me chills. Really, 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 really interesting.
If you will, pieces that your brain is broken up into. And by the way, you have the equivalent of a cat's brain in neurons just in your digestive tract. So the whole notion of gut instinct, think of all the cool shit cats can do. And you've got that in your digestive tract, neurons. It's literally the same material that your brain is made out of is in your digestive tract. It's utterly fascinating. So we have all these competing things that we want, but inside, if you think of that.
Just because you have an enteric nervous system doesn't mean that it's competing with your brain. Like what? You think you're literally thinking with your gut? Well, you're not, okay? Thinking is something that only goes on in the cerebral cortex, okay? I mean, some neurons just send signals.
Overwatch, that one person, that's you, that's meant to say, I have goals, and I'm going to act in accordance with my goals. I'm never going to sell out what I want most for what I want right now. I wanted a cough drop right now. But I wanted to get on the other side of a 3-day fast and say I did it. And I wanted that more. And in learning what your tools and tactics are, so for me, I welcome hunger like an old friend. And I literally, people must think I'm schizophrenic because you'll walk into the room and I'll literally be like pinching and poking at my fat, going,
why can't you leave mental illness alone?
Hunger, thank you. I'm so glad you made it back. It is so good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I know that you're oxidizing my fat, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you. And in doing that, I reframe it not as something that is unwanted or painful, but as something that is doing exactly what I want it to do. And learning
you're dumb.
Those mental tactics, that's the game. Learning those mental tactics, that's the game. That's how you're going to get good at whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to start a business, learning how to deal with your employees is absolutely critical. But let me tell you right now, if you lash out emotionally, your employees will lose respect for you. But it's just like the
Do you know that from experience?
cough drop moment. Now, if somebody had seen me walk by the cough drop, they wouldn't know that I literally had to stop myself from lunging at a cough drop. They didn't know that because I have control of myself. I've practiced things like that. I do 3-day fast. I do what I call bright lines. So I have a bright line. During the week, I don't eat my second meal before 11:30, under any circumstance. My wife one time brought my food 30 minutes early. I was preparing for an episode. It was so sweet of her. But I don't eat before 11:30 under any circumstance. So the food...
You're an asshole. Just fucking eat. Don't be rude.
Literally sat on my lap, smelling so good. And I was so hungry. And I said, Hunger, thank you so much for showing up, because you're giving me the opportunity to prove to myself what a badass I am.
If I made you food and you sit there for 30 minutes thanking hunger, oh my God. I would have just, oh my, holy shit. Like, we wouldn't be having sex for like months, okay? I'd be out of there. Like, go fuck yourself with your 3-day fast and shit. I just prepared you some food. And you're, oh my God. I can't. You're such an asshole who only thinks about himself.
Because I'm going to smell how delicious you are, knowing my stomach is grumbling and tying itself in knots because I want to eat so badly.
And it's all your choice. And like, who cares?
I'm not going to. And in those moments, you earn credibility with yourself. I hate working out. Absolutely despise it. It's why I do it first thing in the morning. And the reason I hate it, the weights are heavy, and your muscles start burning when you get into the supposed good reps. So that just seems shitty and backwards. So it is not in any way, shape, or form fun for me. But I earn credibility with myself because it is something that I don't like. I earn credibility with my...
Tom, do you think you're special? My God, imagine having this much absolutely mundane just thought vomit and thinking it's super profound. Like, what? Oh my God. Like, dude, some people like to work out in the morning and some people like to work out in the afternoon. I'm an afternoon runner. You know what though? I don't have to come up with some big fucking explanation for why I do it. I go in the afternoon because running in the morning, I feel like shit. Like what the fuck, dude? Like, not everything is profound. Some things are just very, very simple. Like, even if they apply to you, I know you think that you're incredibly special and incredibly meaningful, you know, but some people don't have to come up with some crazy explanation for why they go running in the morning or why they work out in the morning and how that makes them better than everyone else and how that makes them super smart, okay? Some people just go, I work out in the morning. End of story. Or better yet, they don't say that because I didn't ask. My God. I mean, the degree to which you perceive the universe as completely revolving around you, the level of main character syndrome it's just off the charts. Wow. But this talk is kind of the gift that keeps on giving. Like, look how much I got to discuss today. Maybe I'll do a part 3 tomorrow. We'll see. But that's where I'm going to cut it off for here. I've been Mac. Make sure that you thank your partner when they make food for you and eat it right away. Peace out. Bye!